In an empty park in Pueblo, Colorado, a chuckwagon suddenly appears. Then another, and another. It's a chuckwagon rendezvous. 7 wagons will spend the next 3 days creating culinary masterpieces using nothing but firewood and cast iron pots. Some have driven hundreds of miles. It's cold and rainy, and nobody's earning a dime. So why are they doing this?
I walked into a Chuckwagon cook-off accidentally. Loved it from the moment I saw it. It looked like the guys that were working on the Chuckwagon were having more fun than men over 30 should have.
And they're quite nice.
I'm gonna stand this up.
The chuckwagons are completely authentic, down to the last nail. But that comes at a price.
Everything out here is either hot, heavy, or sharp.
And expensive.
Some of these wagons are worth more than what you spend annually on your living expenses, so it's not a cheap sport.
But worth every penny.
I get enormous satisfaction out of just looking at the wagon, looking at how it was built and how everything on the wagon had to have a purpose. It had to be practical. It had to be durable. They didn't have any frou-frou toys. They didn't have any water guns or anything that was not usable in the task.
And that thing's sharp. That'll cut your hair.
In 2 days, they'll be preparing meals for hundreds of paying public. But today, they're cooking for each other. And it's not your usual chuckwagon fare.
It's got chorizo, chicken, and shrimp.
It's Spanish paella.
Oh, she's hot.
With smoked paprika and a dash of saffron. And next door, vegetable sauté with hand-roasted peppers. This is what they're really here for. Old friends, good food, and the chance to relive a little piece of American history.
I'm back in the saddle again.
I think it was an exciting time, but it was a tough time. The cowboy life wasn't easy at all. It was after the Civil War. Nobody had jobs, a lot of them didn't even have homes or a place to go back to. It was the only way they had to make some money. There wasn't a lot of romance.
Do they secretly yearn to go back in time and be real chuckwagon cooks?
It was a tough, tough life. At my age, no. It's a young man's sport.
Back in the saddle again. Whoopie tie, yeah, I go my own way. Back in the saddle again.
Like it or not, their skills will soon be put to the test. Each wagon will cook a 4-course meal for 60 people. Everybody gets exactly the same ingredients. Most are chuckwagon staples. Onions, canned fruit, oil, and potatoes. And 1 25-pound top round each. While they're figuring out their menus, here's a quick primer on how to cook for 60 of your closest friends using nothing but wood and cast iron. First, get up early, like 5 a.m.
When we get out of bed and put on our boots, the first thing we'll do is build a fire. The second thing we'll do is start coffee.
It should be thick enough to float a horseshoe.
This will either put hair on your chest or take it off, whichever you need.
And don't forget to settle the grounds.
It's not even recommended.
This comes in really handy. Now get everyone else up. Just make sure you have enough coffee to go around. Start putting those heavy pots on the fire.
We take great care to preheat all of our Dutch ovens by hanging them over the fire or setting them in the coals, getting them up to cooking temperature before we ever introduce food into the Dutch oven.
Make sure you have plenty of help, since you're going to be doing almost everything by hand. Everyone here will tell you that cooking over coals is easy.
It's just heat management is all it is. I've got a pan, we can make angel food cake in the Dutch oven if we wanted to.
In reality, these guys have some serious expertise.
You have to learn how to build a fire. You have to learn how to manage the charcoals that come out of the fire. How much heat is enough heat? How much heat is too much heat? And that changes day to day. The elements, the wind, the humidity, the temperature, all affect your cooking.
So let's take it step by step. First, what are you cooking?
A lot of people look at a Dutch oven and they think of it as a skillet on a stove where all of the heat comes from the bottom.
Which is true, unless you're baking. Then you want most of your heat to come from the top.
You need to put 3 times as much hot coals on the top lid as you do underneath. They cook from the top down, and if you put everything on the bottom and very little on the top, you'll probably scorch whatever's inside.
And that's not the only thing you need to watch out for.
The side sitting next to the fire is way hotter than the side sitting away from the fire. I've burnt many a biscuit on one side.
The trick is to turn the pot every few minutes, and the lid. And finally, don't open the pot unless you absolutely have to.
You can't look at your food all the time. Cooks say, if you're looking, you're not cooking. Because every time you open that lid, it drops 50 degrees.
Yeah, I like it.
With an hour to go, everyone's in high gear. The public are arriving in droves. Everything has to be ready on the stroke of 2 p.m. Each new arrival has purchased one ticket and has to decide which chuckwagon to use it on. Steak, peach cobbler, chili stew, mashed potatoes, chicken fried steak, and biscuits. It's a difficult decision.
There you go.
You do?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The best part? The fascination on people's faces when they see something coming out of a cast iron pot that's every bit as good as what they can put together in their home oven.
Thank you. Thank you, dear. This is wonderful.
Feel like trying it yourself?
Start with something simple. Learn how to make biscuits. A whole pan full of biscuits probably doesn't cost $1.50 in raw materials. So what are you hurting if you burn them? And if you have to throw them out, who cares?
Beautiful.
You learn something.
It's just a little practice, just cook.